everybody. Welcome to Horror Movie Yearbook. I am Tim.
And I am Willie.
Willie's been a long road getting from there to here as the Enterprise.
It's a long road. That's a good song.
I think we went two different songs, both excellent, though.
Yeah.
I went with the Star Trek Enterprise theme song.
Oh.
Yeah, which,
very nice. Yeah. I went with the First
which
Blood.
also was the song from Patch Adams, I believe.
Man, I haven't watched old Patch Adams in a while.
Okay.
That was a go to sleep, go to bed movie for me.
Okay, so like you're getting tired.
Put it on, make it about 10, 15 minutes in, and
pass out. Did you pick up where you left off ever?
Yeah,
okay.
Up. Yeah, I'd finish it in like 5 or 6 nights.
Okay.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. I don't keep the TV on when I go to sleep anymore.
I do most of the time. It drives my wife crazy because I also go to bed after her. So I will come up and I'll say, "Hey, is it going to bother you if I turn the TV on?" And she just kind of goes, "Eh."
Probably, yeah. What she means is yes.
Yes, but
I'll allow
I'm
it.
not going to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, Nikki also used to complain about the TV. No, not like she got used to it and kind of started doing it with me.
Yes.
And then I don't know when we stopped, but we just kind of stopped. Like what I do now is like she puts on like her sounds. She calls them the sounds.
Okay.
Which are like nature sounds and stuff, rainfall or whatever. The weird thing is about those is like every once in a while you get like a track that's like a whale call and you're like wakes you up like what the fuck is that? So I have her delete those off the playlist. Anyway, and then I put on usually some sort of like little YouTube thing with a sleep timer.
Yeah.
And I pick like some old dude talking about like his stamp collection. It's fucking great, dude. It's the best.
YouTube is really good for that kind of stuff.
It's the best. It's the best, dude. Yeah. The other day it was an old guy playing Minesweeper. He's just talking while he plays Minesweeper. This is so therapeutic.
Today I was and this is gonna segue into what I wanted to ask you too.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Today, like, it was very therapeutic because I was just sitting around and I had my headphones in, and I was just like scrolling through old like cable TV commercials.
Nice.
Like commercials for like USA Network show,
Nice.
like from like
Nice.
19. I'm like, oh,
Kinda
this is like hitting
90s
a
stuff.
part of my brain. It wasn't even like nostalgia because I wasn't sitting there getting nostalgia. I was just kind of just sitting there watching it, just like
zoned in.
I'm just like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
That's fun.
And like some people upload a bunch of old commercials. They'll upload like 14 minutes of like old commercials from like a year, like a specific date.
Yeah.
And you're like, absolutely, I'm going to watch these.
For sure. I found a sealed Wizard magazine at a store the other day.
Yeah.
I almost bought it.
Time Travelers?
No.
Okay.
I was close, though. I was like, yeah, what am I going to do with this? I was hoping for a good casting call in there, but I wasn't sure if there was going to be one. So.
Oh, but it was sealed, so you can't really leaf through it.
Yeah. It had like a plastic.
I miss Seal. Wizard just went away, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The magazine, like, they never continued it online or anything?
They were still making it back when I lived in Colorado, because I remember, like, there was this little like drugstore on one of the corners of the block I worked on.
Yeah.
It was like a old school drugstore, like with like a malt shop.
Yeah.
Like they'd make like floats and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And they had a magazine section. They got Wizard, and I was like, oh, thank you. Like, because I was not living in any sort of major metropolitan area.
Right.
Like, so the fact that there was a place I could go and get Wizard, I was like, oh, thank God. And then it was dead not too long after that. So
yeah, I wish. Sorry, let me readjust.
Nothing really ever took its place, which is strange. Like
even the big. Oops.
Because like horror magazines are still around.
Well,
like,
someone bought up Fango. Well, a couple of people bought up Fango.
Yeah.
One bought up Fango and then had to sell it because of a lot of stuff.
Issues, yeah.
That I don't remember the details on. And then someone else bought it, and it's still running its quarterly. But you know what? I like that it's still alive.
Yeah, Rue Morgue's still around.
Yeah, and you know what Fango has been doing that's really awesome is that on their website, they put up the old issues.
That's sweet.
In full, like with everything.
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah. And then Rue Morgue is still around. Horror's still good. And then I read about like how magazines are going away. And then I was in Meyer, the marketplace.
40,000.
There's like so many magazines. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be this guy right here.
This thing
We're
right
adjusting
here.
mics. Yeah, if you twist that, that should help.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
That'll be better.
There's so many knobs. So here we go. A little peek behind the curtain. There's so many knobs and twisties and turnies on the microphone stands we use. There's like I can never figure out which one is causing my issue.
Yes.
Until, I mean, eventually I do, but yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you real quick.
Yes. Let's move.
Well, it kind of plays into what we were just discussing a little bit.
Does,
I want to spend 10 or 15 minutes here. We had a lot going on, you and I, but I want to talk about I want to talk about things that are making us happy right now,
okay.
just in general, because the movie we're about to talk about, I think, is a movie that I can see in the future. The Final Girls, the movie we're about to talk about, it's a movie that it just kind of fills me with warm fuzzies. It makes me happy to watch.
Yeah, I would agree.
And this doesn't have to be horror related. It can be, obviously, and I think I'll have some here too. But I just want to talk about a couple things right now that are making us feel good about things.
Oh, I got a couple.
We're also recording this, I believe, at about 30 minutes. Something that going on in America is not going to make anybody happy.
Well, I was just going to say, in about 20 minutes, you know what? Here's the first reason why I'm happy right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm down here doing this and not watching that. Although you better believe I'm checking out the highlights.
That's we're talking about the debate for those who may be listening later on.
And we're being very nonpartisan here by saying that whatever side you fall on, it's probably going to be a hot mess. Let's just be honest.
They're muting them.
Well, they are.
Well, we got to move on, but yes.
Let's move on.
Yeah,
anyway.
I will definitely. I'm with you. I will watch the highlights.
I will watch the highlight reel.
Yes.
Anyway. But
what's making you happy?
That makes me. Well, let's start in right now. So, we're in summer break, and look, you never know what it's going to be like transitioning from the school year to the summer break when you got a kid. You know, I mean, it can be some whiplash there, and it was that first few days. It was like, man, oh man, we're like in it again. You start to have kind of flashbacks to COVID era, like kids home all the time with you, and you're trying to work and stuff like that. And we've adjusted, and it's good. And she started one of our camps. She's got some camps this summer that she's doing, like week-long ones. And she started one beginning of this week, and she's got her last day of this particular camp tomorrow at the time of this recording. And she loves it. Like she's super into it, and that makes me really happy. So that's very awesome that she's
good
enjoying it. It's like a camp. It's an invention camp. They like build cool things. And
okay.
Stuff. Yeah. So. That makes me very happy. And in the future, I've got a really exciting July to look forward to. You know, I'm taking a trip with Nikki. I guess 4 days from today. Yeah, 3 days from today. Sunday, I'm leaving.
Okay.
We're recording this on a Thursday. Another peek behind the curtain. And yeah, we're going to North Carolina. We're doing this trip. We've been wanting to do it for a long time. And it's well overdue for us to take a trip, just the two of us, of this kind of scale. You know, we've taken a couple of long weekends things. We've done the Cincinnati thing a couple times.
Yes.
But those are pretty quick. I mean, it's kind of, you drive down, you're there for a day, and you drive back. This is going to be a few days there, so it's going to be nice. It'll be good.
Yeah. And what are you doing there?
We're going to North Carolina. We're doing I think
you've talked about it before.
Yeah. The impetus for the North Carolina trip was for us to go visit the farmhouse from the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, the original live action one. Yeah. And that's been something I've wanted to do, for a decade plus. And now I really have a legit opportunity to not just go see it and take a picture in front of it, but I'm going to go in it. I'm staying the night at the farmhouse.
Right.
It's really cool. We're watching all the movies there. We got a pizza food truck coming in. We're roasting marshmallows over the fire pit.
The same fire pit that Splinter appears in?
Yeah. Pretty cool.
It's very cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I haven't, it hasn't, I don't know when it's going to hit me that it's happening. Because it probably sounds silly.
Probably not until you're there, I would.
Yeah.
I think they can see that happening.
It probably sounds silly to a lot of listeners, and I totally get that. Because it is silly, but just pick out your favorite movie or your favorite thing, and then imagine finally being able to visit it, do it.
Oh, I would imagine we've got plenty of horror movie fans listening, or even just fans of movies or anything in general that would love
to go do something like this for their movie. Yes. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. And then a week after we get back, then I'm going down to Knoxville, Tennessee, to a convention down there to meet the majority of the 1990 Ninja Turtles cast. So the timing is weird. I wish that the con was later in the year because it would be nice to have a gap.
A break. Yeah.
But I'm not going to have the opportunity to meet some of these people and get some of these autographs that I'd like to get.
This is like a Turtles July.
This is a big one, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole July. Yeah. And then my brother's coming to town in July, which I'm also very happy about.
Cool. Yeah.
So.
I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
When I get back from Knoxville, he'll be here. So that's really cool. So yeah, man, just a cool month. Like I'm really looking forward to it. You know, it's definitely. I hope everything goes smoothly and all the trips go well and our flights go well and all that stuff and my brother's goes well. And like, if it all works out, it's going to be really, I think it's going to be a very nice breath of fresh air, I think. A needed one. So, yeah. How about you, man?
So, okay. So, we'll start here with the personal thing. My brother, congratulations. He and his beautiful bride.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just tied the knot. I went up there.
That's right.
I was the best man. Quite the honor. I got to give a speech.
That's excellent. How was it? Was it heartfult or was it silly?
Heartfelt. I didn't want to do silly.
Yeah, I don't see you as doing the silly. Like, you got a good sense of humor, but I don't.
The thing with silly, though, is, too, like, if I tell a joke, I go up there and tell a joke. And I think I did at the beginning, but it was like off the cuff thing. But if I go up there and start like riffing, telling jokes, and they start bombing, like I'm going to get even worse. And like I'm going to get even more nervous. And so I didn't want to do that. So the other thing too is like I'm kind of a nervous guy in general, and I'm a very nervous public speaker.
Okay.
I can sit in front of a microphone with you and talk about Saw 7 for hours,
right,
and just not care,
right,
and not be like
it's different.
It's different. Yeah. I probably would have been more comfortable sitting up in front of everybody and talking about Saw 7 than like talking about actual feelings and like
well that's an extra layer, right?
That's the thing is like I know half the people there and then I don't know half the people there, and both of those I'm kind of uncomfortable talking about like actual human emotion.
I know. Which one's worse? What's always been worse for you? Is it speaking or performing publicly in front of people you know, or people that are strangers? What's worse for you? What do you think?
I think people I know.
Agreed.
I'm thinking back to like emceeing and like you've done some work recently with the wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's probably in front of people I know. People I know, because there's an added layer of pressure. With strangers, I just I care less.
I tune it out.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like I'm never gonna see these people. I'm never gonna see these people again. But anyway, it was a beautiful wedding, quite the ceremony. It made me very happy.
Congrats.
Yes, congratulations. Greg,
that's awesome.
He designed our logo that we still use today, the horror movie yearbook logo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. He was an integral part of getting the show started there.
Yes, he helped us out a lot. So thank you for that, and congratulations.
And he was one of the few people in attendance for the Purple Rain screening.
Yes.
Those of you who are listening, you know who you are.
You know. If yes. You know, you know. Another thing that is making me happy. Okay. So recently, Universal Studios theme park in Florida.
They announced where you're going.
Yeah, they announced the Dark Universe.
The Dark Universe lives.
The Dark Universe lives, and I'm going to be honest with you. This is the coolest way for it to pop. Like, this sounds a lot cooler for me than continue on whatever they were going to do with the Tom
Weekly photo shoot.
Yes, whatever they're going to do with that. So essentially, it's its own land. It'll be open next year. I'm super pumped about this. There's a Monsters Unleashed ride that has like all these they're like these weird updated versions of the monsters that would look lame, I think, if I saw them in a movie. But like because it's like a theme park, I'm like, oh, these dudes look sick.
Yeah, there's a certain you're allowed a little bit of schlocky goofiness. It's like comic books. Like you're allowed to get a little crazy. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's going to be kind of like a 3D ride, and then there's a Wolfman ride that's going to be like a roller coaster, and then there's this. The thing I'm most excited about. There's a steakhouse of food, but the thing I'm most excited about, there's something called the Burning Blade Tavern, and they have the big windmill from Frankenstein.
Oh, how cool is that?
And they're going to light it on fire in certain intervals. It's going to start on fire.
Oh man, that's rad.
So like this makes me happy because I'm a Universal Monsters fan.
Yeah.
And
do you like Universal? Do you like the theme park?
Yes, I do. Yes, yeah. I've gone there. That's a place I've gone to since I was a kid. And how
does it compare to Disney? And I know that you're certainly been to Disney more times, I think, probably than Universal.
So the thing is, not growing up. Growing up, okay. I was a Universal.
As an adult, you've been to Disney more often.
Yeah, because my wife is a Disney person, and now with the younger one, when we go there, that's where we'll go more often.
It's more geared.
Right? Yes, and there's some kid stuff there. But how's it compare? It's a little bit more aimed at older kids, and you get like your there's a Transformers ride, a Men in Black ride, the Mummy, like the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Okay.
So rides like that, and then of course they have Horror Nights, which is geared at a more adult audience.
That's pretty much an adult thing.
Yeah, like older teenagers, adults.
There's a Universal in California as well, right?
Yes, Hollywood.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
This one's only going to be in Florida. The Epic Universe is what it's called.
Okay.
And so the Dark Universe is going to be there. But like, it's been tough being. I've liked a lot of the recent Universal Monsters adjacent movies that have come out. The kind of Renfield. What was the Demeter?
Invisible Man one?
The Invisible Man, the Demeter, Last Voyage.
I never watched that.
I think you'd like it. It's not great. I think you would dig it.
I remember
though.
like really being excited. That script was unmade for so long.
Yes.
Like, this is so cool. Okay.
And then Lisa Frankenstein, I know wasn't like it was. I think distributed by Universal, but wasn't made by them. So it's been a lot of interesting stuff that I like, but it's never really gotten off the ground again.
No, not as some sort of cohesive.
Yeah, and even just like the monsters again, like they've all kind of like underwhelmed. Abigail was kind of loosely based on Dracula's daughter.
Oh.
Sorry if that's a spoiler. I don't think it is.
And that was a Universal thing?
That was Universal.
Interesting. So they've been utilizing
They've been trying, and it's just kind of not clicking. None of them have been like flat out bombs, if I recall, but it's just kind of been underwhelming. And
yeah, I think the thing is the issue there is that like any studio can make a Dracula movie. Like there's no like the rights are public domain.
Right.
Same with Frankenstein.
Right.
I think the Wolfman, I'm assuming at this point, probably is. So I think for like when people think of the Universal monsters, there's a certain like iconography they think of. It's very much that version of Dracula, that version of, and they haven't found a way to really bring that back in a way that makes sense. So I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe that's part of it.
Invisible Man was like a hit, but it also came around COVID, if I recall correctly, and I think it's kind of there's never been any real follow up on that. I know Lee Winnell is doing the new Wolfman movie.
Yes.
That's coming out, I think, next year now.
Okay.
They pushed it back because of the writer strike and everything.
Oh, yeah. Right.
My hope is that this theme park kind of reintroduces a new generation.
That would be cool,
to these monsters. Or, you know what, maybe this is the best way to continue on with them in some ways. You know what I mean? Maybe this is like a really cool way. I mean, it's better, like I said, it salvages the Dark Universe in some ways.
I mean, I'm just happy it's alive again. It's not in the form we thought it was going.
We thought it would originally be, yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. I just hope Charles Dance shows up at the end of the ride and he's like, "I'm coming."
Yeah. What did he say?
I don't remember. What was his line at the end of that Dracula Untold when he shows up and he's like, "We need to fight Dracula."
That's what I was trying to remember.
He was like the Nick Fury. He was going to be like the Nick Fury. Yeah.
But I think there was. I'm happy to have my power back. Just anybody who was like following me. I was still doing pretty good on the weekly stuff lately for doing the horror movie releases. But I've had no power. There's not much you can't edit and create a video with no power.
No, that
so
kind of
sorry.
makes things tough. No, I think that's it.
That's it. Good.
Let's move on.
That is all that's making us happy right now. Hey, real quick, this will make you happy. Check out the Midwest Game Nerds. They are talking about Alan Wake 2, Night Springs DLC, Humanity, and 7th Guest VR. They're also talking about, let me see if you can make any sense of this. Dr. Disrespect admits to the reasoning behind his 2020 Twitch ban. Does that make any sense to you?
He's a streamer.
Okay.
I probably sound so old right now. He plays video games on on Twitch and stuff.
Okay.
He's very popular. I think he's won whatever awards for that stuff. He's a very popular guy. And at some point, he got banned from Twitch, and it was some big thing. I don't know anything about it.
He wrote it in like a screed. I just clicked on it. I forgot you could write. If you pay for Twitter, you can do a lot of things, and apparently you can just write novels on there if you want. So if that makes sense to you, if that's a big thing for you, check out Dr. Disrespect. The boys are going to be talking about it, and I'm sure they'll do a much better job than I will.
Yeah, right?
I never heard of this gentleman.
No, I mean, I don't even know. I don't know anything about him. He plays video games. For sure.
Okay.
On Twitch, or did. I don't know if he's banned still. I don't know. I think he wears a wig or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture right now. He's got a wig and sunglasses on.
Yeah. I don't know. He makes content, sure.
We got to get in this time machine, right?
Oh, yeah. Back to 2015.
Yeah, let's see. So we're going back to...
got married.
This is a big year because this... Oh, my gosh. This is why I love this movie. I'm going to get into it later because this is when this is right around the time... This release date was right around the time I started dating my now wife.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Let me see What is going? Oh, you know what? Give me a time machine noise because this is almost 10 years old now. Oh my god.
Oh,
Yeah, it does use that, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. They get away with that somehow.
Yeah. All right, let's do this.
All right.
We're back in March 13th, 2015. I want to see what else was released on this day,
Oh, okay.
movie-wise.
This was direct to video, yes?
I believe so.
Girls, I
Yeah,
believe.
because this has the release date is listed as March 13th, 2015, but it is not on this box office list, so I believe this was direct to video.
I'm pretty sure. I remember it kind of squeaking in the video store because I was still there at this point. No,
Yeah.
I was not. Nikki was still working at the video store,
Okay.
and it was like her last couple months, and it came in, and I was like, "This looks sweet. Give me that R3."
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, so here's the top 10 of the box office.
sure.
Unfinished Business. Let's see if I can figure out what this movie is. What is who is this?
Unfinished Business.
Okay, so this. Oh, I kind of remember this one. It has Dave Franco and Vince Vaughn and
This already sounds terrible.
Tom Wilkinson. Yeah, this was. I don't remember this being much of a hit
Okay.
or any good. After that, we've got The Lazarus Effect
Oh, is that with
with what's her face?
Olivia Wilde?
Olivia Wilde.
Okay, I
Yes.
never saw it.
I did not enjoy it. American Sniper was number 8.
Was that the Bradley Cooper?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm way off. Let's keep moving though. Number 10 was actually 50 Shades of Grey,
Nice.
which we did.
Seen it.
Yes, I believe we did a podcast episode on it, but I don't think you were on it.
No, I saw
This
it
was-
after years after it came out. It's not good.
I don't want people to go back and listen to this podcast episode, but I ate a lot of chicken fingers during the showing of 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, it's very
sitting,
sexy to hear the chicken finger sounds.
Sitting next to the founder.
What
I
mouth
believe.
sounds?
Yeah. Number 9, The Duff.
Yeah, I remember this coming out and seeing it and like going, what is that? And then finding out what it stood for and going, that's kind of mean. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That kind of felt mean-spirited to me, honestly.
Number 8, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water.
Cool, okay. Hasselhoff's in that one.
Yeah, I remember the trailer for that
Yeah.
all the time. Number 7, McFarland USA, which I think is like a sports docudrama type deal.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, it's like one of those. It's one of those Disney movies that I actually wish they made more of. Like, kind of one of those. Like, remember Disney used to make like those inspirational live action, like kind of like,
Sport,
or even like, not even like
Miracle?
inspirational, just like live action stuff like White Fang and
Yeah,
I,
sure,
I always thought
sure.
they did good with those.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 6, a movie near and dear to our hearts, Chappie.
Oh, Chippy.
You got to be cool, Chippy.
Chippy.
Got to be cool.
Yeah, that's not a good movie. I do like Hugh Jackman's shorts.
I've never actually seen this movie. I've watched many clips.
Oh, you haven't
though.
seen Chippy?
No, I've not seen Chippy. I just like to say, you got to be cool, Chippy. You
Yeah.
got to be gangster, Chippy.
Gangsta. That's a weird movie. I don't even know what to say about that one. It's a trip.
I liked his last movie. I finally liked another movie of his. The not Need for Speed, whatever the racing movie is,
Gran
Gran Turismo.
Turismo?
I liked it.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
That's all I'll say. I wasn't
Sweet.
blown away, but I liked it. It was the first one I've liked since District 9, so I was happy about
It's
that.
on a roll.
The second best exotic Marigold Hotel was number 5.
I saw the first one.
I saw the first one
It's
too.
A nice, delightful little film.
It was very nice. Yes.
Yeah, I never watched the second one. I kind of went like,
I forgot it existed.
yeah,
Maybe I'll go check it out sometime.
why not?
Number 4, The Kingsman: Secret Service. Is that the sequel to The Kingsman?
I don't know. I didn't like the first one.
I
very
did.
much.
Yeah, I liked the first one.
They made like 6 of those things.
Yeah, they're still making them. I think that was that the TV show. Oh no, that's The Gentleman. That's Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Number 3, Focus, which I believe is the Will Smith Margot Robbie movie. I thought was all right.
That was right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Solid.
Yeah, Will has had his issues lately, but I always like when he's able to turn on the charm a little. He's a charming actor when he's on screen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a nice charmer.
Yeah,
Number
not a bad movie.
Number 2, Run All Night.
Run All Night. Run All Night.
Oh, this is a Liam Neeson movie.
Oh, this is during the streak. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Neeson streak. Yeah. He's making so many of these things. Clean it up.
And then the number 1 movie was Cinderella, which I saw with my wife. I wouldn't say she was excited for it, but her friend was excited for it. My wife is she's a Disney fan, but she does not really care for the live action adaptations.
The remake ones.
Yeah, she doesn't really.
This is the one with Lily
Collins?
James. Collins.
James? Yeah, one of the two. I think Lily James, the one that's in Mamma Mia.
Yes.
And then
She's Cinderella, right?
Directed by the guy who did Thor, Kenneth Branagh. Yes.
Okay. Lily Collins plays Snow White, I think.
That sounds right.
Isn't there a Snow White?
Is she Emily in Paris? Is Lily Collins Emily in Paris?
Yes.
Okay.
But she's in one of the Disney remakes, too. It's not Snow White. It's something else. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I wasn't... there's a really weird yeast joke in this movie.
Nice.
So bad. Not a fan.
Yeah, I'm with her. I'm not a big fan of these live. I haven't watched some of them. Most of them I've seen. I'm kind of like, eh.
The Jungle Book, I kind of
like Jungle Book. A lot.
That's the Favreau one. Yeah.
But most of them I go, I don't know.
I'm in the same boat. Most of the time I'm like, what was the point?
Right?
The cartoon, the animated shows.
Beat for beat.
It's better. The music's better. It's more colorful.
I remember that Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, what are we doing? I remember watching it and going like, who's the audience here?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
Max, we're talking about the Final Girls now. Max, recently orphaned, goes to see a screening of a B horror movie that her mother made 20 years earlier. When Max and her friends find themselves in the world of a film itself, they must apply their knowledge of horror tropes to survive. This stars Taissa Farmiga, Malin Ackerman, Nina Dobrev, Adam Devine. Is it Devine? Adam Devine, I believe. Devine, Thomas Middleditch, Alexander Ludwig, and Alia Shawkat. And I think those are probably...
It's pretty much the cast.
Angela Trimber has a pretty big role in it. She is Tina. She's very fun.
She's fun.
But yeah, those are the big... It's got a fun young cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these folks had done some stuff before this, and plenty went on to do things after as well, so...
Yes.
Yeah.
And man, Taissa Farmiga looks a lot like her mom.
That's not her mom. That's her sister.
That looks a lot like her sister.
Isn't that great? I do that. Yeah, Vera's her older sister, which is...
I'm just going to put this out there right now. I did zero research on this movie this week. I have every week I
did a bit, so we're good.
Perfect. Every week I come in with a bunch of notes, and this week, because of everything going on, I have my watch notes on my phone.
I got you covered, man.
So thank you for correcting me on that.
We should start by mentioning, speaking of little factoids about the movie, this movie spent a long time in development hell, like a long time. The script, various versions of the script were lingering out there for years. And one of the big issues was that there was a constant battle, it seemed like, between some studios wanting it to just be kind of a goofy slasher parody and remove kind of the heart stuff out of it, and other studios wanted them to kind of dial back the slasher stuff and make it more of a... No one wanted to blend the two things, I think, is part of the issue. And so there were issues with the writers, different producers they went to. Eventually, Sony, I think, who distributed this, agreed to the blend so long as they were able to dial back some of the blood guts in the script and make it a PG-13.
Okay.
Which I know the filmmakers were not at the time super psyched about, but have since gone on to say that the director in particular has said, I'm happy with the finished product, even though
it's not what
we didn't quite. And that's the chief complaint I hear from people about this movie is it's a slasher and it's PG-13. Are you kidding me? I'm like, I get it on the surface, but this movie's not really trying to be a slasher movie. Not really.
I think watching it again, this almost feels comedy first to me. It feels
dramedy first.
Dramedy. That's right.
Slasher just happens to be kind of like the setting of.
They're using the tropes of the slasher to tell the tale. Yeah.
Yeah, to tell a sweet, funny, poignant story.
And it's one of the time loop kind of movies that we got a lot of coming up in the next few years or around this time period. Edge of Tomorrow, Happy Death Day to You. Movies I really like. A lot of them. Oh, what was the one? The Sandberg one I thought was kind of fun too. Was it Palm Springs, I think?
Never saw that.
Yeah, it was kind of cute little comedy. Cute little romantic comedy. So yeah. So that fits along. That's kind of how I think of it first. Yes.
But yeah,
the screenwriters are it's Joshua John Miller and M.A. Fortin.
Yes.
Joshua John Miller, I believe, is he the kid from He's Jason Patric's half brother. He's the kid from Near Dark, right?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yeah, he conceived the entire storyline of this due to the passing of his father, who, of course, famously was Father Karras in The Exorcist, Jason Miller. And my understanding is he had that thought at some point. I don't know if it was a dream or just a thought he had about, like, or, you know, watching the movies his dad did and kind of feeling like if I could just be in there with him a little bit, which is very sweet. If I just jump in the screen and, like, spend some more time with my dad, very sweet. And that's kind of where this comes from, this concept, this idea of this young woman who's lost her mother and, of course, has a chance to kind of be with her again. It's not really her mother, necessarily, but for her it is.
Yeah.
Although I'd argue that there might be a moment at the end there, towards the end of the movie, where, like, I feel like it is.
Yes.
Like where it comes through, almost. Anyway. But, okay, enough of that. Tim, did you see this?
Just real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You set it up. Yeah. We talked about one of their movies recently. It's coming out. It's the Russell Crowe, The Exorcism. They wrote that, and I believe one of them, they may be co-directing it, actually. So I'm a little bit more interested now than I was before, because the trailers I didn't think look great. But when that hits Shudder, I'm definitely going to watch it now.
There you go.
Because that makes sense. Apparently, this is another project of theirs that they've been wanting to get off the ground a lot, The Exorcism. So that ties into The Final Girls. It took them a long time to get that off the ground, and it also ties in with his dad too.
Yeah,
a lot of that what that movie seems to be going for. So
interesting.
And it seems like it might be a little bit of a meta movie, like this one.
It could be.
Yes. So anyway, sorry, we mentioned that the other day, and it hit me. I was doing research on it.
I did not realize that they were involved.
They were.
That's pretty cool.
It. So anyway, sorry, The Final Girls.
Yeah. So did you see this when it first hit video?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe I watched it a few months probably down the road, and it may have been on your recommendation, or
I vaguely remember that.
I think it was probably on your recommendation.
Usually you're recommending stuff to me because you tend to watch more stuff than I do.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those rare occasions where I was actually able to go, hey, watch that.
Yeah, but this was also, so like this would have been around the time too, but before I jumped like 2 feet back into horror and like started watching like a lot because I was like, I think we were both working where we work now, but like you mentioned, the video store. I think you got it from the video store, and so you were probably watching more than me at this. Yeah. So
back then I watched a lot.
Yes. So anyway, I believe I watched this on your recommendation, and I'll just tell the story of when I watched this. This was probably one of the movies that led to the genesis of this podcast, because I watched it with my now wife, and she's not a horror movie fan, and I think she watched it because she liked me. She sat down and she watched it, and she got really into it, and we both kind of, I don't know if I've ever admitted this to her, but we both kind of teared up. I know she did. She was like full on crying. She's a crier. I'm not so much of a crier, and I do want to ask you a question about that later on, but yeah, I remember tearing up at the end.
Yeah.
When Bette Davis Eyes kicks in.
When it kicks back in, yeah. That's
towards the end.
Yep.
It's great stuff. I thought it was really. It hit me at the time, and I remember it hit her too. And like she's like, I really liked that movie. I'm surprised because she knew enough, and that's the thing with this movie too, is it's not super nerdy in jokes. It's a pretty basic understanding of the slash. If you have seen Halloween or Friday the 13th and you know what the tropes are supposed to be, you can get a handle on what the movie goes out of its way to explain it. This, I think that's another criticism I've seen of this movie, is that it's not super kind of hardcore nerdy, or like it is kind of a base level
it is
intro to slashers type deal. And I get that too, but I don't think that's what it's going for.
Yeah, horror is just a backdrop in this movie.
Yep.
And if you don't like that, that's fine.
Absolutely,
I'm good with it. But also, I guess, if your complaints are it's not gory enough or it's not horror enough, I don't think that's what they're aiming for.
And you know what? It doesn't treat it with disdain either. That's kind of the thing with a parody for me, is because this is a bit of a slasher parody, is like, I don't like parodies that treat the thing they're parodying with like no respect. I like when there's a certain level of, like Shaun of the Dead, like that's a spoof.
Yes,
but it's a loving spoof. I prefer like loving spoofs to like some of the scary movies were just shitting on better movies. Honestly,
yeah, for sure.
So anyway,
I agree.
I wanted to get that out there. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it at the time.
Sounds like you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm a little bit more of a crier than you are. But as I get older, I'm less of one. I tend to just not. There are a handful of movies where like usually movies from when I was a kid or there's a handful of movies where like certain parts of the movie will get me every time. But yeah, I was the same way. Like I was tearing up. I remember when I first watched the same scene, I was like, man, the last thing I expected from this kind of like direct-to-video slasher parody was to be hit with that amount of like wave of just emotion and feeling and heart.
Yeah.
And it does. It still did today too. Like I finished the movie today, funny enough. And I was like, man, that scene still hits. Like, dang, like this is good stuff. I really, really like this movie. I really do. I think it's one of my favorite films of that year. I remember I think it was on my list that year.
Yeah, we used to do top 10s, didn't we?
At some point.
Yeah,
we did those for a while, I think. It was definitely on my list. You know, if it wasn't, it is now.
What I was saying is like, I just remember watching this movie and going like, I want to talk about this movie, and I want So that's I think part of the reason why we started doing this one too.
I think this movie was a part of that
for
sure. Yeah, I would agree. Because it is a movie that makes you. It's a movie that makes you think about what horror can do, what the horror genre can do, even if horror is not necessarily at the forefront of the film. I mean, this is a horror film in a lot of ways, certainly. And it's able to... I think this is a very masterful kind of balance of all the elements. Like, you get enough of the horror, I think, to make it... It could sit in a horror section at a video store, and it would feel okay to be there. It's very funny. That Tina character is very funny.
That is a balls out performance by her.
It's awesome. Yes. Especially when she takes a bunch of Adderall. That's really good. And then
is that her dance?
Oh my god!
It's very manic and very funny.
It's incredible. And in a way, kind of pays tribute to some of the great manic dances in the history of slashers.
Our girlfriend
Glover, or
yes, Friday 5.
Or I believe Violet from
Part 5, right?
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Yeah, I could not remember
her
name. Thank you, Violet.
Violet, I believe.
Yes. Pseudo Echo.
Oh, the best. So yeah, maybe that's a bit of a reference to those. I don't know.
Yeah,
probably not, but.
I can see. No, I think it's more of that was more of a Tawny Katane. I think.
Yeah, good call.
Well, she's named. Her name is Tawny in the movie, isn't it?
Tina.
Jeez, that's right.
But I mean,
is there a Tawny in the movie? I don't know.
Anyway, so and Adam Devine, I think he's one of those guys that you either love him or you hate him.
Here's what's weird. Okay,
he's got a very specific style of comedy.
Here's what's weird about Adam Devine. I'm glad you brought this up because this hit me during it. I would not count myself as an Adam Devine fan. In fact, I'm like a lot of the time I see him and I go, ugh. But
he's got a very punchable face. Let's be honest here.
But like then I started to think about it. Like I've thought he's really funny at a lot of the stuff I've seen of it. Like I think he's incredible at Gemstones. He's
amazing on Gemstones. He's really funny in Workaholics.
See, I was not a Workaholics guy.
Okay.
So I should say that.
He's very funny on Workaholics. He's very funny in the Pitch Perfect movies.
That's the other thing is I can't do the Pitch Perfect movies. Okay. It's too, drama kids are too much for me, and it's too drama kid.
It's too genuine.
My wife loves them. It's just too much. Drama kids are a lot. I'm sorry. You know what? I know a lot of people probably feel the same way about jocks that I feel about drama kids. They're like, I don't want to watch movies about jocks. They suck. And then I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to watch movies about drama kids. So
there you go.
Or Glee kids. Yeah. Sorry.
The horniest bunch of human beings on the planet.
I would imagine. Yes.
Oh, dude, insane.
Anyway, sorry. Adam Devine. Divide.
I quite like him in this movie.
He's very good in
For
this
sure.
movie.
He's very funny. He fits the character perfectly. Some of the stuff he's ad-libbing in this is like insanity because you can tell they're ad-libs, but they're like really good ones.
Yeah. Well, then there's the blooper reel at the end.
Yes, right. Yeah. So there's some of that in the end. I should mention Adam Devine met his wife working on this movie.
Who's his wife?
His wife is the what's her character's name? Paula, the one who's supposed to be the final girl who winds up dying in the car wreck.
Oh,
the one he's sitting in the car with, and he's like, "Let's go to a hotel and have sex." Like after they hit Thomas Middleditch. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they wound up getting married.
What a nice
in real
little
life.
story.
Isn't that sweet? They met on Final Girls.
I'm glad you did your research because that warmed my heart.
It's delightful.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about Middleditch?
I like Middleditch.
Do you see? Like I don't know. Middleditch is too much for me too. A lot.
He's really great.
But I like him at this.
I like him on Silicon Valley because
that's kind of
he's great at that character.
Yes.
And I think he's quite good in this too.
Yeah.
So he's actually like more likable in this than he is in a lot of the stuff I've seen him in. Like he tends to play characters that are not meant to be overly likable. Like
that's part of what.
And this he's actually kind of like there's a charm to him. Like he's an idiot and he's kind of bumbling and has no like self-awareness a lot of the time, but he's kind of fun to watch. So plus he dies like 3 times in this movie. It's very funny.
You know what? That is cathartic for someone like me who.
Yes. It's like watching Shelley get killed 3 times instead of just 1. Yeah, we talked a little bit of Tyson for me. I think she's great.
She's very good in this movie too.
Yeah, she's great in everything I've seen her in, and she's very good in this. And I could see
we're Farmiga fans in general, right?
Yes, yes, the Farmiga fan club over here. I could see. I've heard some criticism about her as an actress being too stiff and being too Kristen Stewart-esque, where she's kind of like gazing off in the distance and kind of emotionless sometimes. She's like not that at all. I don't understand where that's coming from. Like for me, I think she's like.
I think she's the heart of the movie. Her and Malin Ackerman, Malin Ackerman's tremendous in this.
She's so good in this.
I think this might be. I like Malin Ackerman, and this is.
I liked her. Yeah, I've
always liked her, and I think she's phenomenal in this. I think it's like the best Malin Ackerman performance I've seen. I don't want to like.
Sure.
I don't want to. I haven't seen a ton.
She was really good on Trophy Wife. Okay. When that show was on. I liked her in Watchmen, I think, if I remember right.
Oh, she's in Rampage. Wanderlust, is that the...
She's good in that.
Yeah.
You know what? She's also really good in that Ben Stiller movie that's not good, but she's very funny in it.
She is good in that. The Heartbreak Kid.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like the movie too much.
That was like kind of one of her breakthrough roles, and I remember thinking like, oh, she's good. This movie's not great.
But she's quite fun. Yes. And then she did Watchmen not long after, I don't think.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I like Malin Ackerman a lot. She's very good. Like this is her strongest role, I think, that I've ever seen her.
Oh my God, she's a Brother Solomon.
Oh no.
I fucking love the Brother Solomon. The best use of mad emotion.
That's true. That's true. Oh no, Brother Solomon is fun. Yeah,
it's one of the
insane.
It's one of the dumber movies I've ever seen in my life. Anyways,
I was thinking of Stuck on You for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not a big Stuck on You guy.
No, it's bad. Is that Farrelly?
The Farrelly brothers. That was like post like Farrelly Brothers boom when they were doing all those. Like the only one I kind of like for that period is Me, Myself, and Irene.
I like that movie.
I do too.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress.
Yes.
But Malin Ackerman's very good in this, and her and Tyson Farmiga have really good chemistry.
Yes.
Like, really good. And the fact that they establish... This movie's brisk. Like, it's... With credits, it's like 90 minutes. Like, it is brisk, and it gets going fast, which I appreciate. It's got an expediency to it, and it does not come at the cost of, I don't think, character development or plot or anything like it. I think it works. Yeah. I don't think it needs to be any longer than it is, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of perfect where it's at. And most slashers are pretty brisk.
Yeah.
So, but they do such a good job, and I think it's credit to the writers and credit to the fact they use that Bette Davis Eyes song, which they really, really, really wanted to get Like a Prayer. That was the song they wanted to use for the mother-daughter bonding song. And they actually wrote kind of an impassioned letter to Madonna.
Okay.
Like asking her to use the song. Okay. And she replied to them and said, "You can use any song in my catalog that you want. Anything you want. That is the only one you can't use." She goes, "I don't license it. That's the one song I never license."
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
And so they had the entire... And then they were going to do... They had a couple other
that was
options.
nice of her to write back.
What's that?
That was nice.
She
of
did.
her.
She
Yeah,
contacted
that's
him back. This is like a smaller film.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
this is not. She did not have to do that. So yeah. So they were obviously disappointed by that, and then they cycled through a handful of other songs that they were like considering, and they wound up settling, and I think for the best, on Bette Davis Eyes. Funny though, this version of Bette Davis Eyes is not the version you'll hear if you like listen to the song. This is a demo version.
It's still Kim Carnes, right?
Yes, but it's like the demo before they actually like release the song.
Okay.
Kind of strange that they chose. I wonder if it's cheaper
That may be it.
than the finished one. I mean, it sounds pretty darn close. It's not like it's.
It sounds good anyway.
That's great.
You know what? It may have just fit the tone better too.
It's a little less polished.
That might be it too. Yeah.
So,
I don't know if it's slower than the original. I don't know. I'd have to listen to it again.
Okay.
But all right. So here's my argument, and I'm glad. Here's my argument for why I'm really happy
That this wound up being the song. Okay. Oh, Heaven is a Place on Earth was the other one that they were trying to get.
Okay, so even that, I think that still will fit my argument of why I think Kim Carnes.
Let's hear it.
Bette Davis Eyes is better. So, Kim Carnes, I hesitate to call. Kim Carnes had quite a career. Like she had a long career
For sure.
but her most enduring song, or the one people remember the most, and the reason why some people I know call her a one-hit wonder is because Bette Davis Eyes. It was her biggest hit, and it's the longest-lasting hit. It's
Sure.
the one Kim Carnes song everybody knows. Now, the thing is, Kim Carnes, I'm sure, has a fan base, too.
Of course.
That, like, knows all of her. Like, so she had a career. Now, the reason why I think this works so well is that fits perfectly with what I think one of the themes of the movie and one of my favorite parts of the movie is the main Malin Ackerman's character has to, like, accept that, like, she's never going to hit the big time. Like, she's never going to be the most popular actress in the world.
She's not going to be Madonna.
No, she's not going to be
Just
Madonna.
reconcile with that, yeah.
Yes, she has to reconcile with that. We see her early on going out for, like, smaller role, like,
Yeah.
and, like, not getting. She's coming to terms with the fact that, like, her dream isn't what she thought it would be. But she's got this movie in, I can't even remember the movie right now, but the movie she starred in,
Camp Bloodbath.
Camp Bloodbath. Thank you. But she's got this movie that has a fan base, and she is a big part of the movie. Like, she's one of the characters in that movie, and it has a loving
She's
fan
beloved
base.
by...
She's beloved by a certain audience, and my guess is she could have made a nice career out of going to conventions and meeting people who are huge fans of Camp Bloodbath. And, like, you're going to go out and get the Ninja Turtles autographs. Like, you walk down the street, nobody's going to know who Michael Pius. Is it Michael Pius? Or
Josh Pius.
Josh Pius, thank you.
Most people would recognize him.
Most people, but, like, you are so excited to meet him. So, like, that's kind of what I'm saying is, like, yeah, you know what? Maybe, like, you're not going to be the biggest hit in the world. Maybe you'll make a movie that's only popular with a small group of people, or maybe you'll only have one hit, or maybe you'll only do something that 100 people like. But
for
you know
sure,
what?
I know what exactly. Yeah,
those 100 people really like it, so that doesn't make it any less than. So, like, embrace that, enjoy it, and
I dig it.
Yeah, so that is, like, actually, and that's, I think, one of the, because even that ties along with him too. With his, he's in the movie Near Dark, and he's not, like, the biggest part of it. Joshua, is it John
Miller.
Joshua Miller? Yeah. He's not, like, the biggest part of it, but, like, that's a movie that's lived on and endured, and it has its fan base. And it has screenings of it, and people love that movie. I love that movie. And he's
great movie.
Yeah, and he's not the biggest role, but he's a character that I find really cool in that movie.
Yeah, he's amazing. Yeah.
So that's
Otis. Is that his character name? Otis? I think it's Otis. Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
So that's all I wanted to. That's kind of what I was going for. There, it's like, it's something like Madonna, like a Prayer. That is such a huge hit, and, like, that is one of, like, 30 something or whatever Madonna hits out there. Like, Madonna has had an insane career. Like, she is, like you mentioned, like, she's Bette Davis. Like, she's the one that's going to be known forever.
Yeah, and then, like, Heaven is a Place on Earth feels too on the nose for me.
Right.
Just doesn't feel right.
And Belinda Carlisle too.
Love that song.
Yes, a great song. But I like Bette Davis Eyes.
It worked out for the best. Well, and some of the people, I think the writers were not psyched about that being the song that they wound up landing on. But then they, like, came around to it, like, oh yeah, this is really, like, this works, like, really well. So yeah, it's funny though, like, how it seems like this movie was a series of people kind of compromising.
And how
in a
that
lot of
works
ways.
out sometimes.
And then most of them, my understanding is pretty much everybody is like, we're pretty happy with how things worked out, regardless of the fact that it was not what we initially kind of went in, Yeah, the rest of the cast, everybody's really great. Ellie Shawkat, I was like seeing her. She's a little bit underused in this, in my opinion. They could do a little bit more with her
I think she's
character.
underused in general, honestly.
Yeah,
in a lot of stuff.
She's very funny. She's got very great comic timing. I just like her.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree. She's kind of underused in everything. So
Nina Dobrev, she's good in this. She's good in this.
She does a good job. Yep. She makes a steak at one point, which is fun. Not a piece of meat steak, but a vampire killing steak.
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of cute.
I like Alexander Ludwig in this movie. I wanted to mention him too. He plays like the character that I always like, which is like the kind of meathead guy with a heart of gold. You know what I mean?
There's a sweetness to his character though in this one that I appreciate. Like he's not dumb, which is nice.
Right.
He's not a complete like jack to the gills like monster guy, which is nice. And there's that really nice moment where he says he's scared to her. Like he admits like, yeah, I'm scared. Like, and that was ad-libbed too by Alexander Ludwig. He like threw that out there and they were like, we're keeping that. It's really good. It works really well. Yeah.
He's in the new Bad Boys and he kind of plays somewhat of a similar character, which is kind of like, the big kind of like buff guy, like big athletic guy, but he's like a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, a nice counterpoint to the Bad Boys. Yes.
I remember him in Hunger Games.
He's in the Hunger Games. Yes.
Yeah, he's not a nice guy in that movie.
I don't believe he is he?
Yeah, I do believe he's nice. Anyway, how do we feel about Billy?
The slasher, yes. I guess we should talk about him, right?
We need to talk about Billy.
All right, here's what I'm going to say real quick about the movie as a whole, because this ties into Billy, so that's why I'm going here.
Let's do it.
On a rewatch, I have been scared to revisit this movie. The first time I watched it was 2015. I have not watched it since. I've been a little bit scared to revisit this movie because I loved it so much and I held it so dear.
Like, what if I don't like it this time?
I still like it, and I still like it a lot. It did not hit me like it did the first time. Right. Now, I have come to a point now, too, and this movie made me think about it a little bit. Horror fans were always chasing that feeling of, like, discovery.
Chase
like,
the dragon, man.
That's part of the fun of being a fan, period.
Of anything.
We talked about Star Wars a little, and I think maybe that is some of the people's problem. Like, they want to feel like a kid again, and it's not going to happen. I mean, it could. I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but you know what? You can't force it to happen.
The odds are low.
The odds are low.
Yeah.
You've got to continue to find stuff you love, and that's kind of the fun thing. Horror is such a big genre. Like I can continue to find stuff that makes me feel like I felt like when I watched Dawn of the Dead for the first time.
It's funny how you and I think about horror is very similar, and correct me if I'm wrong. When I think of the things I love, right,
Mm-hmm.
the things I'm really passionate, I think of Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Something I really am into. Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. Love Dragon Ball Z. What's one more example? Would be Godzilla, right?
Oh, yeah.
But when I think of another thing I love, I think of horror. But I think of horror as its own franchise in a weird way. Like, I don't obsess over individual horror franchises in any major way. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to describe this. Like, horror for me is like its own little pocket thing that I love. Like it's does that make sense?
No, it makes. I see exactly what
I don't microscale horror. Like it's like for me it's just all one.
Yes, and I think that's maybe a good way to look at it too is like, because there's so much out there. Like Terrifier 2 is a good example of this. Like that is that was a movie that took me, because I remember telling you, I'm like, Terrifier 1 is what it is. It's like kind of fun. And then like I watched 2 and I go, oh my God, like it clicked in me. Like this would have been my favorite movie as a kid. And like I'm sitting here watching it now, and like that part of my brain latched onto it. And so like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm constantly looking for that movie that I would have loved.
Yeah,
as a young person, and I think that's healthy. Like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that's that's a healthy way to go about things. I'm not like sitting here going like, believe me, they made another Scream or Friday the 13th. I'd be there tomorrow, but I want to continue to find stuff that's not that. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's healthy. That's I wish I was a little bit more apt to branch out of my comfort zone with things sometimes. Yeah. And when I do, I'm usually pretty happy I did. Yeah. I mean, like things like In a Violent Nature, like that's not IP. That's not something that I like have an existing appreciation for. So like, I was very happy with that.
Yeah.
I just don't do it enough. I don't play enough new video games. I don't read enough new comic books.
Yeah.
I don't watch enough new movies. I tend to dip back into the well a lot.
And it's tough in this day and age too, though. Like I'm in the same boat as you a lot of times. It's like I do continue to watch. Like I'll watch I've been watching the Superman cartoon because I like Superman. So like I'll continue to watch the stuff that like I've been a fan of for years.
Yeah.
But it's tough because you can get stuck in that. You know what I mean? You can get to the point now where like, oh, I liked Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, Star Trek as a kid. Like I'm just gonna watch those and nothing else. And it's tough. It is tough to like break out of that, and that's why
I'm kind of in that a little bit. I'm trying to.
Yes. So anyway, where I was going is like it didn't hit me as much this time.
Yeah.
Like Bette Davis Eyes kicked in, and there was a part of me that was kind of sad that like I wasn't getting choked up. I wasn't getting emotional like I did the first time. And then I realized that's okay. It's okay to like be taken by surprise for a movie and feel feelings the first time and then watch it a second time, you know, and appreciate it for what it is and say, I still enjoy this. But you know what? Like that came at a special point in my life. And I will always have a connection to it. And maybe someday I will revisit this. And like
it could hit you again.
It could hit me again. But like this time it just didn't. Different point in my life, different viewing experience.
You still liked it.
I still liked it a lot. And then I think some of it too was coming at it from a critical eye to the podcast and Billy. So a long roundabout way to get to Billy is I'm actually not crazy about Billy in this movie.
Yeah, I wish Billy looked cooler.
The mask is kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's like a weird tiki mask or something.
Yeah, do they ever really explain the tiki mask?
Zero. I wish that there was more of that, something there. I don't mind the origin, I guess. It's fine. It's kind of the classic, like, kid was wronged. The difference here is that this time, like,
it's a little Burning-esque, right?
Yeah, I think that's intentional,
yes,
too,
me too.
for sure. Tina would fit right in with the Burning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the origin's fine. I love the cut to black and white. I think that's very clever. I think them transporting into the flashback is really fun. I like when they do stuff like that.
It's a very stylish movie.
Yes, I like things like them stepping over the timestamp, the year stamp, like where they have to like literally walk over the numbers.
The director,
I like things like when as the movie starts to end, they see the credits rolling on the horizon. Stuff like that. I love stuff like that.
Todd Strauss-Schulson, he's a younger guy. He did very Harold and Kumar Christmas, which is actually I like that one.
I like that one.
I do too. That's
the second one sucked. Right?
That's the Guantanamo Bay one.
I don't like that one.
I don't like that one. Christmas actually might be my favorite.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
There's a heart to that too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he also did he did a Rebel Wilson, and he's done the Pitch Perfect TV show. He's directed some of that. Isn't It Romantic? I think was the Rebel Wilson movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, with Liam Hemsworth and Adam Devine.
Hey, there you go.
Yep.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm sure that has heart to it too.
Probably. Yeah. No.
But Billy, I think is what we're.
I think it's a byproduct of the fact that the slasher element tends to get the short end of the stick in this. That the slasher himself tends to get it. That being said, I think if there's one place they could have at least like upped the ante on the slasher element, I don't need giant, crazy, gory Terrifier or In a Violent Nature-esque kills in this. I don't think it's needed for the movie.
No.
I don't need a bunch of TNA. I don't need a bunch of profanity or anything like that. Like, I don't need that for this movie to work. I do wish they would have put a little more emphasis in like the look. It's just not that good.
The look of Billy, the slasher.
Of the killer, yeah,
yes.
because it makes him. The killer kind of becomes a total afterthought at a certain point. Like,
yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more presence, and there's not.
It looks kind of slapdash. It looks kind of haphazard. I don't like.
Looks like an afterthought.
Yeah, I don't like the mask. The mask is a huge issue for me. It's just it looks too goofy. Like that's the part where I do wish. Like I said, it's a comedy. I know, but I don't know. I because it is a because the movie that they are inside of was a slasher movie. I would have liked it to look a little bit more like a slasher movie from that period.
Yes.
And I don't think a goofy tiki mask is that. It could have just been like a basic mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the tiki mask is bad.
Yes.
I'm not a fan, but it doesn't fit his head great or anything. It just doesn't look great.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a complaint. The backstory for Billy's fine.
It's fine.
I'm okay with him being, he gets burned by a prank gone wrong, blah, 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 blah. That's all fine. But yeah, in general, Billy's kind of like like Billy, like I would not buy the action figure, the NECA figure of Billy.
No.
Even though I really like the movie, because Billy's just kind of whatever. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I will say I like the score of this movie. The score is an interesting one because, the editor of the film left like halfway through editing the movie, and they had to like re-edit from scratch. And so the composer was like, he did not score a finished film.
Okay.
They would send him a finished scene, he'd score it, and they'd send him another finished scene, and he'd score that. So like, not a traditional way to score a film. He did not have a finished cut. He had it in chunks, and I think the score's fun. I think it works. There's a lot, very synth driven.
Yes,
it fits the mood.
There's
it
the
works.
Jason callback.
Yep. I think it works. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it was cobbled together like scene by scene.
Right.
So that's nice.
Yeah, the movie that's weird because the movie has a decent flow to it when it comes to, and like you said, I think it's a very brisk movie. I don't think it ever. Yeah.
No, it
So
worked
they did a
out
nice
apparently.
job.
Like I said, like despite all the all the stuff that was going against the actual making of this movie, like they were.
Isn't that the story though of a lot of like really like
it's true
all time, like I mean I don't know if I call this, but like great horror movies, like
Yeah.
or a lot of the horror movies that people love.
like a war of attrition just to get the thing.
Just get the thing done, see how
true.
it comes out, and then you know what? A lot of times, and the other thing too is like, like nobody's ever going to be, no artist is ever going to be completely happy with the finished product.
I'm never happy with everything I do.
No,
so and I'm nowhere near as talented as these people. So
and so nobody's ever, but like then you get it out there and you go, you know what? Like eventually, with
I
some
did
distance.
okay.
Yeah, this is a Carpenter thing too, right? Where like Carpenter hated a lot of his movies, and then he,
you know what? Not too shabby. Yeah. True. But yeah, I mean, they were pitching this thing as early as 2007.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time, But anyway, I think the finished product is really great. I do not disagree with you. Like it didn't. I certainly didn't tear up during the scene I did on the previous viewing, but I think it's still very effective. And I think this is a movie that's probably. I know it's underappreciated. People don't talk about it. I think it unfortunately got kind of buried a little bit because it was direct to video, and it got poo-pooed a bit by the horror community because it's not. They saw PG-13 and immediately went, ew. Like, why would I watch that? I get it. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think you'd have way more positive experience coming out of it than you'd expect. Just go in knowing it's not necessarily what you're probably thinking it's going to be. I think if you do that, you'll be okay. Give it a fair shake. It's well worth a watch, I think.
I agree. Yeah. I have a question for you.
Not just for horror fans either. Like,
no, that's what and that's part of the reason I brought up the story with my now wife too. Is like she's not a horror fan,
right?
And fellas, ladies, if you're out there, you're a significant other who's not a horror fan, show them this movie, and then maybe it'll get them on board. My wife goes to horror conventions with me.
I've been to a couple with her as well. Yeah,
she always has a good time. It's never her thing. She always has a good time though.
Oh yeah. Man. She's a kid in a candy store at those things, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, so she like lights up. She's like, yeah, let's go.
But now, to be fair, she does tend to like the goofier. Like she likes the Friday the 13th movies. Like she's that kind. She likes kind of this stuff like that. And
she doesn't want to watch Saw.
She'll sit down. Well, Joe Bob's a little different now because remember, like the Last Drive-In used to be like the first movie used to be kind of the more like goofy kind of fun, and then the weird shit came in the second movie. That's how I always liked my Joe Bob double features. So she would sit and watch a little bit of the first movie and go, "I'm going to bed." After like she sat and watched The Toxic Avenger with me the other night, and then they got to the part of the like the fast food restaurant. She's like, "I'm out," where they kill the dog. She's like, "What's going on? I'm done. I'm done with this."
Yeah, you're insane.
It's like, what the fuck is this now? Anyway,
what did I get myself into?
But I wanted to ask you this question.
Sure.
I think this is where I want to leave us. Can you remember any horror movies other horror movies that you have teared up or got emotional during.
Oh man,
I'm gonna. I'll start then while you think, because I do like horror is a weird genre because it's that's not what it's going for a lot of the time. Like and you know what? Me going in to watch a horror movie a lot of the time, that's not where my mind is. Like I'm not in that mind space. I'm kind of looking for something to kind of scare me or thrill me.
Sure, yeah.
So I'll start.
Man.
I'll say, I think one of them is, you know what? It's a recent one. The scene in Conjuring 2 where Patrick Wilson's character.
Oh, that's great.
He plays "Fools Rush In," the Elvis song.
Yes.
On the guitar for all the kids and stuff. Really I think it's a really sweet moment, and I remember getting like kind of like touched by it. But it was
yeah.
I really like the Conjuring 2 is my favorite in that entire franchise, and a lot of it is because of that little quick little scene that it just kind of pauses. It's kind of a hangout moment. Yeah. So
that's good, man. Yeah, I got a couple.
It doesn't have to just be movies, I guess, too.
Sure. Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep was another one I thought of.
Yeah, that's there's a few moments in that are
well, that's a Flanagan, like his TV shows too.
They're very emotional, very character driven, very human. You know, yeah. There's a few moments in that are very, very touching.
Mm-hmm.
Usually around the redemption of the Danny character, like his kind of coming to terms with his past and figuring out. Recovering from his alcoholism and all that stuff that he's going through at the beginning of the movie, like kind of coming out of it, and his relationship with Abra. There's a lot of really cool stuff there. So
yes,
there were a few. I'm trying to think of like a specific moment. Not necessarily there's not really one I can think of that got me.
Yeah,
more than others, but there were a few moments in that movie where I was like, "Damn, this is like hitting hard." So yeah. That's one.
I do remember a couple. And speaking of Flanagan, yeah, Midnight Mass is another one towards the end.
There's a couple.
There's a couple of the monologues where yes.
There's
the scene with
boat trip.
The boat. Yep, that's the one.
That's good.
That is good stuff.
That's good. When the two of them go out on the boat together.
Mm-hmm.
That one got me. I remember going like, God damn, man, like what are we doing right
now? Does Buffy count? There's some stuff in Buffy.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff in Buffy. That's ending of season 2 is really.
Yeah, a lot of the high school stuff really.
It's
high school stuff works for me in general. Honestly, like I've been talking to you about this. I need a new style WB show. Like high school stuff works for me in general, and a lot of that is because of the time. But yeah, there's some stuff in Buffy season.
There is some stuff. There's a couple things in Angel too. I think that work.
Yes.
Halloween H2O.
Okay.
It's the final scene
that's
when
a
she
good one. I
when
like
she
that.
cuts us out. I remember just feel like I was terrified of Michael Myers as a kid. I was like, he was the scariest son of a bit. Like him and Pennywise were my two. Like I loved those movies, but like I had nightmares about both those characters multiple times. Like despite loving the movies, and I remember like seeing H2O and her like. Cutting the head off of me going like it was like I was just like oh like this weight was lifted. I was like she did it. Like,
yeah.
She finally did it. Like I was with her in that moment like yeah, get him, Lori. Yeah, so that was very like I remember like breathing out like going like it's over. Like he's dead. Yeah, so I was that one got me.
We Belong Dead and Bride of Frankenstein just hit me.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that. It was kind of like I don't know. Because I love that movie, and it's just this weird campy thing, and then it ends with kind of just like this amazing. It's a great line. It's
really
an all-time
good.
line.
Really good. The Fly, the Cronenberg Fly.
Oh, okay.
After all the nastiness of that film, and it's nasty. You've got this fully transformed. Goldblum fly monster, Brundlefly, and they've been through all this stuff, and he grabs the end of the shotgun and like sticks it to his own head, and I'm like, holy shit, there's a human still in there somewhere, and it's like, get me out of here, like I am done. Like so that one gets me, and it's Gina Davis has to do it, so it's even more like she's like pregnant with his child. Yeah, that one gets me. That's a pretty emotional. Yeah.
we touched on King a little bit. Are there any King? Because there's some of his books have gotten there with me. Some of them I don't want to say it made me like it affected me too much. This is a book, but the first part of Cujo bothered me so much emotionally.
It's hard to
that I will never finish it. I just don't like the book.
From the dog's perspective.
It's too much for me emotionally.
It's hard. Yeah. That's a hard read.
Now, what about
a really hard read.
Movie wise? I remember the first It. I remember there's some moments, I think towards the end of
the movie,
not
the TV
1.
thing.
I'm thinking of the Muschietti movie from the chapter 1. I'm thinking of the end where when they all survive and they're all around each other. Yeah, I think that stuff is really great.
There's some stuff in the TV miniseries too that gets me still.
Yeah.
It's more a nostalgia thing, I think, for me with that.
Okay.
Where I watched that at a very young age, and so I associate certain things. So there's some moments in that when Jonathan Brandis, R.I.P. There's a scene in that TV miniseries where I don't know if I'll try and jog your memory here, where they finish up looking at the photo album that comes alive. Because Tim Curry's hand comes out of the photo album as they're looking at it. It's kind of the moment when they all acknowledge they've seen things throughout the course of the summer. Individually, and they're all coming together and saying yeah, this thing must be real because we've all seen it. They all think they're crazy, And Brandis kind of walks off, and they're all scared crapless, and they kind of trying to figure out what to do. And he's Brandis is he starts yelling into the woods. He goes, "You killed my brother George. Come out and let me see you," or something like that. It's really good. I'm God damn, Brandis is bringing it. This kid's 13 years old, and he's crushing it. It's so good. Oh yeah, it's the "Let's see you now." He goes, "Let's see you now. Let's see you now." And then they all come around him and hug him "We got your back, bro." It's really touching. It's man, this is good stuff.
What about the end of the Mist? The end of the Mist is a different thing to me.
I depending on my mood, I either I either need to take a solid shower after, or I cackle because
it's not I don't cry. I've never felt the need to where I'm touch out. Most of my reaction is oh fuck. I'm just
Tom Jane's performance is really good.
It takes nothing away from the performance, nothing away from the directing, because I seriously think it's one of the all-time great endings in anything. I love it.
It's not King's original ending, which is funny.
Yeah, I just love it so much. I think it's some of the best. That's my favorite Darabont movie.
Yes, it's so mean.
I'm not
but it's so mean you have to almost laugh because you're uncomfortable with how mean it is.
I'm not a huge Shawshank guy. I love good.
Shawshank.
I think it's good. It's just that it works really well for a lot of people. Yeah. So but man, The Mist. Now you're speaking my language.
Dude, The Mist is gnarly. That ending, the first time I saw it, I did not know. I did not go in spoiled, which is rare, on that movie.
Yeah.
And I was oh my God, what are we doing right now?
Any moments in Carpenter or Romero's filmography, or maybe even Craven's, I don't think there's anything in this. You know what? Man, sometimes I can't remember. It's one of the Scream movies, seeing Dewey again. I think it may have even been 5, where there was a part of me, just seeing Dewey, maybe even his death scene, spoilers, in 5.
That one hurts.
Yeah, but I don't think I got choked up. I
remember Randy's in 2 messed me up.
Yeah,
it was anger though.
That's
it was
the thing,
not.
yeah.
I was not sad. I was just pissed. I'm really it's Randy. What are we doing? I was mad.
Yeah,
I had a visceral kind of reaction to that, and I think I had reactions to that with certain returning characters. In the rare occasion when you have a returning character in a slasher film, even Alice from Friday Part 1 to Part 2.
Yeah.
Because I watched those movies in order, which I think is kind of rare for somebody who was not born.
I definitely did not, yeah.
Right. So, I watched 1, and then I rented 2, and I was here we go, and Alice shows up, and I'm sweet, we're going to see her next. And then she's dead within, I don't know what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Yeah. And it, in the meanest way possible, too. Those moments, the Randy and, her, get me, I'm, pissed. I'm God damn it. I followed them through this whole movie, and now they're dead. That sucks.
Carpenter, yeah. West Side. Carpenter's never. The only time I can remember right now off the top of my head, Carpenter even trying to tug at the heartstrings is Starman. But that's not a horror movie.
Yeah, he's not overly sappy. There's not really a lot there.
But so this is not the movie itself. This is just like like one time I watched Halloween on Halloween or around Halloween, and like I got this weird. But this was like just an overly nostalgic moment where like everything just kind of like hit me at once, like in the moment.
Dude,
you know how that
happens.
gets, and like you get like, oh, this is like a perfect moment for me. And,
This is
like,
amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny how we have those things like that. Yeah. That was like the Friday the 13th marathon at the summer camp that I did. I was like, oh my God, like how did I get here? Like this is so cool. Like how like I was overwhelmed by how hashtag blessed I felt.
You're right.
I did. I was like, this is awesome. Like this worked out really cool. Yeah, not a lot from Carpenter. I do think that Romero has a couple moments that he's able to hit in his movies. I always think of Roger's death in Dawn.
Okay.
His death and resurrections really that's tough stuff when he's like screaming like, I'm gonna try not to come back. Like I'm not don't shoot me until you know, but I'm gonna try not to. And then of course there's nothing you can do to that stuff's pretty good. Day's just kind of angry the whole time. So
I can't.
I take it back. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's some stuff where they're like hanging.
They're hanging out in the trailer. Thing.
Yes, and I do remember getting like I said, I didn't like tear up and cry, but I do remember like thinking. Whoa. Yeah, it emotionally affected me.
When
the term I would look for.
She's down in that kind of like that trailer or like RV or whatever with those with the pilot and the guy, the Jamaican guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the whole spiel about like we need to teach our kids like if we ever have kids like never to come back here. Don't ever come back here. Like start new. Like don't make the same mistakes we made. This is what got us here. Kind of. It's really that whole monologue is crazy good.
Even the Bub stuff is touching to me at times. Yeah. I think, and this is part of the reason why Day's my favorite. But
yeah, mine too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so there you go.
There we go. We did name some.
I had way more than I thought I was going to have.
We did name some, and I'm sure there are plenty more out there. But yeah,
definitely.
Cool. All right, what do you want to do next in our summer series?
Do we have a plan right now?
No, we don't. We're just shooting from the hip.
Classic us.
We did talk about one movie. We did talk about one of the Sleepaway Camp sequels. Let me see if those are out there. But if you have something else you want to,
I don't.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I did not have a
because we do. There is some stuff where basically we named it. This is kind of like horror in the woods is what we're thinking of.
Woodsy horror.
So like even like Cabin Fever, I think would qualify. Or...
Sleepaway Camp 2 is on Tubi and Pluto TV and Amazon Prime and Freevee for free. I think.
Do you want to do 2 or 3? You want to do 2?
I want to do 2.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Which one's better?
I don't. They were filmed around the same time. I think.
I'm gonna go 2.
I think
it's an hour and 20 minutes with credits.
Absolutely, and it stars Bruce's sister.
We could probably do 2 and 3 as one episode. Honestly.
Hey, if you want to go, I will.
We'll see.
Let's see how we feel after 2. You know, I kind of like the sequels to this.
I do too. Yeah, they're each an hour and 20 minutes.
I believe they were. I believe they were filmed back to back, or at least very close to each other timeline wise.
They're less than an episode of Stranger Things combined.
This will not make us cry. These movies will not make us emotional.
You never know.
You know
Angela's a touching.
I was gonna say, yeah.
She is somebody who's going through some stuff.
We've got to think about that in some other woodsy horror movies the rest of the summer because. We brainstormed something too.
We have not done OG Wrong Turn yet, have we?
I'm gonna have to go back and check.
Let's figure that out.
I think we have, and I don't think it was a 3-part one.
We could do okay. All right.
I do, but we haven't done the Joe Lynch Wrong Turn.
No,
the sequel.
I've never seen it.
Interesting.
I have not seen a single Wrong Turn sequel.
Is Leslie Vernon a woodsy horror movie?
Let's think about that one.
Okay,
it could be.
Okay. Okay, we've got some on the docket.
Excellent.
Let's do Sleepaway Camp 2
Sleepaway Camp 2. Unhappy Campers, I believe, is the...
Yeah.
Is that 3?
And we'll have to figure out when you're going to be back and when we can fit it in.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, Unhappy... Yeah, Teenage Wasteland is Sleepaway Camp 3. We will talk about that. Yes.
I'm just giving people a warning. Maybe don't expect our regular recording schedule because we have to figure it out.
Yes, we will probably have to take 2 weeks off. I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
Got it.
We'll see.
All right. See you next time, whatever that is.